Hey guys, Scott here. Today we're going to talk about whether or not Behaviour Interactive, the developers for Dead by Daylight, are able to handle criticism, because this is a topic that has been talked about for basically the entire decade that the game has existed. I myself have very clearly criticized Behaviour before for not, ironically, accepting criticism. People have seen it before in the game's past where there will be something that they do. Everyone will say, hey, this is obviously a bad idea. Don't do it. They do it anyway. And what do you know? It's a bad idea. Not to say that everyone's always right and the developers are always wrong, because of course that's not the case. People are wrong just as often as they are. But there's definitely been a history of whether or not they're able to accept criticism, and I have absolutely supported the fact that they're not super receptive to it sometimes. This comes up as a couple of things have happened. First, there have been some removals from their content creator program. If you don't know what that is, it's basically what Fog Whispers used to be. They just give you some Ordic cells at the beginning of every month. You get some keys for giveaways when there's a new chapter. You just get kind of support. It's basically the devs, like, giving you a nod of respect, and you giving the developers a nod of respect for, supporting the game, and they're supporting you. And it's just kind of like a symbiotic little relationship, just kind of like that. Not a huge deal or anything like that, but it's just, that's basically what it means. So there have been, over the years, people removed from these programs, whether it was Fog Whispers, which was the old version of the content creator program, or even just recently, there have been people removed. Like I just learned of someone named Refined, who I was not familiar with whatsoever. From what I can tell, they are a Vecna main, and they just make kind of critical videos about the game. Nothing, super intense, nothing that like I haven't made or anything like that. So they seem, from what I can tell, chill. But like I said, I don't really know them exactly. I just did a quick glance at their channel, but they were removed, and the given reason apparently is there was too much criticism. But again, I make this extremely clear. I don't know that. I don't know that that's the case. For all I know, he tried to murder every Behaviour employee. Like, obviously, I'm not saying he did that, but the point is, I just don't know. Only he knows, and only Behaviour knows the actual reason that he was removed. So I just need to make that crystal clear. It could be for something entirely different. I just simply don't know, and I never will know. But a lot of people are saying that he was removed because he criticizes the game too much. And that's where the discussion comes in. Is criticizing them too much something that will make you get removed from one of these programs? And I don't know. It's hard to say, because they just added me to the creator program, and I have been criticizing them for basically 9 years straight. I criticize Behaviour a lot. I criticize Behaviour a lot. I really criticize them a lot. My most popular video in the past couple of months is literally a video called DBD is designed to make you miserable. Safe to say that's not glowing praise for the state of the game. So I criticize the shit out of them. That's kind of like what my channel is. Now, I try to do it respectfully, and I try to offer suggestions, and I try to invite discussions and conversations about how that problem is relevant to the game, how we can come together as a community to fix it, what the developers can do, and I try to be as rational as possible when I do these things. But at the end of the day, I am still heavily criticizing. And knowing that, because they had to review my content before they added me to the program. So to me, that tells me that there is some level of criticism that they are willing to accept. There has to be. Otherwise, there's no planet in which they would have added me to the program, because I'm not like DBD's darling child. I'm not like Otts or something like that. I have spent the majority of my DBD career criticizing the things that they have done. I'm not particularly super well loved by anybody. People tolerate me. I'm just sort of like whatever. I just sort of exist. So there's no reason to have some crazy bias, in case you think it's like a survivor bias. I play 74% killer, I think. So it's not like there's like a particular, they're all survivor mains type thing. Like, I don't have a good explanation as to why some people are removed for criticism, and I was added despite voicing a lot of criticism. Again, I try to be as constructive as possible with it and offer suggestions and ways to fix things, but I think there are different levels of criticism. There's basically like, hey, this perk is bad, you guys should fix that. Or, hey, this mechanic of the game is bad, like tunneling, you guys should really fix that. Or, hey, Dead by Daylight is designed to make you miserable. The entire game has issues. That's a bigger level of criticism. And then they're starting to move on to like talking about the developers specifically. And usually that's where I feel the line is kind of drawn. If you start talking about them as people and not just as an entity making decisions as a company, that's where I start to think you probably cross the line a bit too much. But even then, I have specifically talked about developers before. It hasn't been a while, to be fair. The last time I did that was the infamous hockey analogy, where I rightly criticized Patrick for giving a really bad analogy for understanding Dead by Daylight. And I inferred from that that he didn't really understand the game that he was talking about based on that analogy because it made no sense. Again, I didn't like say he's a fucking idiot because he doesn't get how this not. The whole point was I'm saying this analogy was bad. Hockey is not a good example of what you're talking about. I think that indicates that he is misinformed about the topic. So I've even talked about behavior like employees themselves, and they still added me. So the whole point I have here is this. They do appear to be receptive to some criticism. Legitimately, they do appear to be receptive to it. I think there just is a line, and I'm not sure exactly where the line is. Now, I understand, as someone that was just added to the program, making a video criticizing the inconsistencies of the program, probably not the smartest decision in terms of staying in that program. But I hope this proves to you, at least people watching, that I would prefer to just talk about what I want to talk about, and I'm not going to like change what I'm saying because now I get Oryx cells at the beginning of every, new chapter or something like that. I'm just not going to do that. So this will be an interesting gauge to see if this is too much. But again, I'm trying to be as respectful as possible, not attacking any developers specifically. But I do think it would help going forward in the future if Behaviour was more clear about their stance on criticism. They need to clearly draw the line where the criticism becomes, okay, you're just insulting and just not helping anymore. And I think that would be a lot better because nobody wants to sit here and think, even just for talking on the forums, no one wants to get banned or something like that. Like, there needs to be a clear line for just consistency's sake of what criticism is acceptable and what is taking it too far, because no one wants to talk and not know if what they're saying is going to be, policed by them. So at the very least, let's have some more consistent ruling on what we can talk about. And I think that would alleviate a lot of problems here, because if you had someone join the content creator program and there was a very clear set of rules saying you can criticize this, you can say this is bad, you can say this is bad, but don't call, Jimmy in programming a fucking idiot or something like that. If there's very clear rules there and then a content creator joins the program while agreeing to those rules, well, now if they break those rules, we're going to side with Behaviour because you agreed to this. You could have not joined and spoke whatever you want, or you could join and said, hey, I'm not going to tell Jimmy to go fuck himself. So if there's a clear ruling defined and a content creator is removed for breaking it, everyone is going to be on Behavior's side. And that's what I want to see. I want to see people on the side of the developers that, for the game that I play. That is the ideal scenario, but they make it kind of hard sometimes. So therein lies the problem there. So overall, I do legitimately think they can take criticism. The biggest criticism I have with their acceptance of criticism is the inconsistency of the acceptance of the criticism. That's as succinctly as I can word, I guess, the discussion I'm trying to make here. And some better rulings would just really alleviate a lot of potential drama and anger and stuff like that. And again, I'm not speaking on behalf of anyone that was removed. I don't truly know why they were removed. I will never know. I can't get that information from Behaviour. They'll never tell me that. Only the person that was removed and only Behaviour knows the actual reason. And it could be for completely justified reasons, and it's completely fine. My whole point is I don't think the answer is no to whether or not they can accept criticism, because again, they accepted me, someone that has no, golden goose. I'm not a darling child of the game at all. They accepted me, someone that criticizes Behaviour in probably 75% of my videos, and they accepted me. So that tells me no matter what, there has to be some level of criticism they are okay with. It's just unclear what the line is. So that's really all I wanted to talk about. Also, I do need to disclose in the bottom now that I'm in this program, so that's why that's there. This is not just to rub it in and go, ha, fuck you idiots, I'm a creator, I get Oryx cells, bitch. I'm just I actually have to put that in there. But I am trying to make it clear that I would rather speak my mind than be, curtailed on what I can say, because that's you'll be able to see right through that. It's super obvious when that happens. So yeah, try to keep this as respectful as possible. Again, this is not an invitation to attack anyone in Behaviour. It's just a suggestion to make their rulings on criticism a bit more consistent. Simple request. I don't think that's too excessive, but that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.